show's cramming in stories like fuel in the tank.
You got to get every drop you can in there, so when we get it full, we just keep filling it.
We'll keep filling it, all right. Chad Little and Dale Earnhardt Jr. are here, but the producer knows that won't fill the show.
You don't want to tell him, I don't think I got it full.
Add an in-depth feature on the quick rise of Matt Kenseth, and we're getting close.
That's kind of what we do. We just sit there and pack every little bit in.
Top off with news of a new kart track, and that's a packed show.
It makes you feel good when you go, it's full. It's full.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Kernan. We do have a full slate of action lined up for today's show, so let's get started. Mike Skinner broke his right scapula and a bone in his left wrist when he slammed into the wall at Texas on Sunday. Thursday, the team announced that Skinner would sit out next week's race at the Martinsville Speedway. Morgan Shepherd will drive the Lowe's-sponsored Chevy in next week's race. The parade of new racetracks in new markets continues to march on. Major League Racing returns to the Windy City in the fall of 1999 thanks to two-time defending kart champion car owner Chip Ganassi. The 1 mile Chicago Motor Speedway will be constructed around and incorporated with the Sportsman's Park horse racing track in the Chicago suburb of Cicero. It will be the first time that the Champ cars have raced in Chicago since Ralph De Palma won a pair of races there in 1918. For Ganassi, it's a move into an exclusive group of kart team owners who also own a racetrack. For kart, it's a chance to race at a state-of-the-art facility in the third largest market.
It's about 1.1 miles. With a horse track on the inside of it. We're going to incorporate the new kart safety system in the corners with the energy absorption walls on the outside. And in phase one, I think we're at about 65,000 seats, suites atop that. And we're looking forward to the fall of '99.
We've been asked by our fans to come to Chicago for years and years. There's been a lot of talk about having tracks here. Well, now we're doing it.
People look at me with my affiliation with kart. I think it's important to point out this facility is open to all sanctioning bodies and all types of racing.
It's been a while since the Champ cars raced in Chicago, but not quite as long as it's been since the Cubs won the World Series. 9 races were held between 1915 and 1918 on a board track. Dario Resto won 4 in a Peugeot, while De Palma won 3 in a Packard. One other kart note, at a rules meeting earlier this week, the kart car owners decided to continue to ban traction control. Some of the engine manufacturers wanted to introduce traction control to the Kart FedEx Championship Series. The owners are concerned traction control could take the driver out of the racing equation. In Busch Series news, Mike Cope's team named Donnie Richardson as its new crew chief on Thursday. Richardson had worked as Brett Bodine's crew chief in the Winston Cup Series. In 1997, Texas was the scene of Jeff Burton's first ever NASCAR Winston Cup victory. Last Sunday, lightning nearly struck twice as Burton's Roush Racing teammate Chad Little scored his best career finish with a second-place run in the Texas 500. Chad joined us now. Chad, what were your thoughts like going through those last several laps as you were trying to chase down your teammate Mark Martin?
Just trying to run the same laps we had. I was running maybe just a little harder, but what I found is the harder I tried to run, the further the distance grew between Mark and I. So, I didn't want to make a mistake and put myself in jeopardy of losing second place, but at the same time, I knew Mark wasn't going to make a mistake either. It was just trying to run as consistent as I could, and if I had a chance, do what I could there, but at the same time, not make a mistake. I was pretty excited to finish second behind Mark Martin.
Now, at what point during the race did you realize that, hey, I might have a shot to pick up my first Winston Cup win?
I tried not to think of it during the race because, it kind of clouds your thoughts and what you're trying to do at that particular time. But I guess when the race started and I didn't, the car was consistent all day long. It didn't change very much, even after the first couple pit stops. And we knew we were up there in the top 5 most of the time. So, it crossed my mind a few times, but it seemed like the 99 car and the 12 car were the class of the field, and then they had their problems. So that came up then, and but for the most part, it was just a matter of not trying to think about it, because, you know, you're not used to running up there all the time. It's a different mindset, and you really have to stay comfortable and focused in what you're trying to do.
But now that you've got that race where you've run up there and you finished second, does that give you guys on the team a lot of confidence heading into the next race?
Yeah, but I don't know how much that's worth. I mean, a lot of confidence, but it doesn't guarantee a thing. I mean, it's great for morale, it's great for the team and for John Deere, but I tell you what, this is so competitive every day and every weekend, and if you're not on top of your game, you're going to miss it. And we're going to Martinsville next weekend, and, you know, that's a tough little short track, so it's a whole different deal there, and we're just glad to have that behind us, and we're going to try to build a program around that so we can have some more consistent top 10 runs.
Are you surprised at how quickly this whole thing has come together? Because, I mean, you made the switch from Pontiacs last year, Fords this year, go from the team last year to Roush ownership this year. Are you surprised that it's clicking so quickly?
Yeah, in one respect, but, you know, you look at the teammates that I have and their success, the success of Jack Roush. We have great sponsorship with John Deere, and we have a good, solid team behind us. So, you know, I guess in a way it was expected. We're expected to do well and be with the Roush organization, but you just never know. So it was a big confidence boost from that standpoint, and Jack gives us good equipment to work with, and I really, you know, I can't thank my teammates enough for helping me and learning some of these tougher racetracks.
What about Jeff Hammond? What has he brought to the team? What has he added since he's joined it?
Jeff and Skip and I work real close together in the chassis setup and the managing of the team, figuring out what cars to run where. Just really, Jeff's role has been to make sure that we don't get off track in anything that we're doing, whether it's putting the bodies on the car, testing procedure, car building, and so on. And that's his experience is pretty important, and that's what his role has been, is making sure that we don't do things that will come up and bite us later on in the season.
Well, Chad, congratulations on a great run, and when you do get that win, come back and see us again.
Hopefully this year.
All right, yeah, sounds good to me. Later on RPM tonight, we check out the job of the Gasmen in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. And when we come back, we'll chat with Dale Earnhardt Jr. about his first Busch Series victory.
RPM Tonight is being brought to you by Terminix. Call 1-800-TERMINIX. No bugs, no hassles.
Saturday afternoon at Texas, fans saw the dawning of a new star on the Busch Series as Dale Earnhardt Jr. passed Joe Nemechek and went on to win the Coca-Cola 300. Victory Lane turned out to be a very emotional sight as Earnhardt's famous father did something very unusual for the Intimidator.
First round qualifying to be split over 2 days.
Feels great to be a Busch Grand National car owner.
Hey, wait a minute. Tell me about that. Tell me what that was like.
You just want to know how it felt to be a Winston Cup car owner, and what it feels great to be a Busch Grand National car owner.
Just take me through those last few laps, because you were
I just was watching. I wasn't coaching him. He'd got tires, and all he could do is just go run him as the best he could. And all I can say is he done a good job, and Tony and all the guys did a good job, and looks like he's a chip off of Ralph Earnhardt's old block.
All those guys on that crew, to a man, Dale, said they knew this day was coming. Obviously, you did too.
Well, you feel that way when you see him running Sackett at a couple racetracks like he did at Bristol and at Vegas, and you know, just circumstances worked for him today, and they kept their head pretty good, and it just felt really good to see him win. He went in victory lane with him. He grabbed him, about hugged my neck off. He ain't hugged me that much in a long, long time.
Tony, I get the feeling this one is more special for you.
Yeah, it's more special, especially when you see them born and raised, you know. So it's a lot of fun working for his daddy, but it's a lot more fun working for him.
It's been a special couple of months for you, the Daytona win, and now this. How does all this make you feel?
It stacks up pretty good, really. This stacks up right with the Daytona race, so it's pretty awesome.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. joins us now. First off, what do you want to be called? You want to be called Dale, Dale Jr., DJ? What should we call you?
Well, my dad always told me never to be too particular about what people call you, just as long as they're calling you, you know?
Yeah, so well, we'll just call you Dale then. How about that? Okay, yeah. Dale, what did the other Dale have to say to you in Victory Lane at Texas?
Well, he's pretty consistent in just making sure and telling us we did a good job. And then I was so excited. I grabbed him around the neck, told him I loved him to death, and I really appreciated the opportunity he gave me.
Now, tell me about the opportunity that you've got. The way the year kind of started out at Daytona, up around on your roof. Did you think it then? It's like, oh, man, what am I getting into?
Well, not necessarily. You know, we ran good during that race, and that had built a lot of confidence up in me. And then went to Rockingham, had a so-so run there, which was tough on the team. But then we bounced back with a couple top fives. So it eventually, you know, the more we run better, the more confidence I get in myself and the team gets in me, and we just keep working better.
Whenever you make the kind of move that you made on Joe Nemechek on Saturday afternoon, is that confidence? Because, I mean, you were right there. You could have wrecked him if you wanted to, but you didn't.
Well, it was kind of a strange situation. I didn't expect to get that good a run on him off of 4, so as that happened, I knew he was going to have to make a pass or a move of some sort, and we had a chance to win.
Now, whenever you're racing that close, how much of it is what you've learned, say, over the years racing late model stocks, and how much of it were you born with, do you think?
I don't know if you're born with anything. There's a few traits that you might inherit, such as good peripheral vision and things like that, maybe good reflexes, but I think just watching my father as I was growing up, watching a lot of things that he did on and off the track has helped me out more than I think my own experience on the track has.
You know, I noticed down at Bristol, every time you made a move past, the fans would go nuts. I would imagine you've gotten a lot of response this week, have you?
Yeah, we sure have, and it's kind of interesting. I think that we actually turn more non-Earnhardt fans or anti-Earnhardt fans' heads first, because just the appearance that we've made seems to fit what the fans like. And then the Earnhardt fans were more standoffish. Is he going to, be as good as his dad or whatever? And it took him a little time to come on.
Now, is that a lot of pressure on you? I mean, considering who your father is and your grandfather?
I really enjoy it myself. When the fans are cheering and they're cheering for you, it really makes you feel good, makes you want to drive hard, makes you want to put on a real good show. And I like the reaction that we've gotten so far.
Yeah, your dad over the years, I mean, people cheer for him now. Over the years, he's been booed and stuff like that. Now everybody's cheering for you. Do you want everybody to start booing you pretty soon? Because that means you're winning all the time.
Yeah. Well, I just hope that the fans enjoy watching us race, and I think they do. Every race that we've been in this year, we've been real competitive. We've had a few setbacks in each race, and we've still climbed to the front. And that's the kind of race the fans like to see. They want to see cars passing cars and racing for the lead, racing, jockeying for position all day long.
Now, speaking of that type of racing, Hickory, in a nutshell, basically a lot of push and shoving. Are you pretty excited about getting up there? Because last year qualifying was rained out, right? And you didn't get a chance to run.
Yeah, so that's made me more hungrier to go back, I think. We tested at South Boston earlier this week, and that seems to have helped us out a lot. We learned a few things to really pick the car up.
All right, well, best of luck to you. Congratulations on getting that first win, and come back whenever you want to. Just pick up the phone, give us a call. And you can call me John.
All right.
I'll call you Dale.
I appreciate it, John.
When we come back, this day in NASCAR history, Fred Lorenzen's rainy day triumph at the Martinsville Speedway.
Today in NASCAR history is brought to you by Coca-Cola Classic. Always the real thing. Always Coca-Cola.
Fred Lorenzen is the only man in NASCAR history to win a 500-lap race by completing only 149 laps. April 9th, 1961, the Virginia 500 at Martinsville Speedway was postponed after 149 laps because of rain. NASCAR President Bill France decided to declare the event a full race, even though it fell well short of the required 250. The full 500-lap event was rescheduled for April 30th, with Junior Johnson taking the victory. The rain-shortened event also marked the first time that a second-place finisher took home more money than the winner. Rex White pocketed $1,275 for winning the pole position, leading 118 laps and finishing second. Lorenzen won $1,150 for leading 31 laps and taking the win. Lorenzen drove in only 158 races, picking up a total of 26 wins. He won the pole position 33 times while recording top fives in nearly half the events in which he raced. No matter how fast a NASCAR Winston Cup team changes tires, if the gas doesn't make it into the fuel cell, the team will never win a race. The men responsible for replenishing the fuel supply are usually huge, hulking figures. They look almost spaceman-like in their fire suits and dark-visored helmets. They are the gas men of the Winston Cup Series, and this is their story.
I think it's a ballet act between everybody out there. When you know exactly what everybody else is going to do, which way they're going to turn, which way they're going to move.
You got to have everything in rhythm.
The pressure now is a lot more. The races are a lot closer, and more races are won and lost here on pit road.
The gas man. The traits that make a good one are unique compared to other crew members. All the speed and agility of tire changers and jackmen will never compensate for the necessity of fuel. and the ability of the gas man to deliver it.
I think you just have to be in shape for it and have a halfway decent balance to you and be able to pick up a little bit of weight anyway.
The gas can weighs about 80 pounds, and you got to step over a wall.
I feel my advantage is my height. I got long legs. I can get over the wall easy.
I'd say probably experience more than anything else. It don't really bother you when you're making a pit stop.
Not spilling any gas, getting it into the car as quick as you can, and I'd say that's pretty much what makes a gas man good.
The gas man doesn't run around the car hitting lug nuts or hanging tires. He doesn't even venture to the more dangerous right side of the car. He stands his ground, shifting for those scrambling underfoot, ever cautious of not spilling any fuel from the bulky container resting against his shoulder. His sole responsibility, make certain the tank takes all the gas it can hold, or as they say in the pits, packing fuel.
Well, it's like going to a gas station. You sit there and you keep clicking the pump, trying to get that last 25 cents in to round off the dollar. That's kind of what we do. We just sit there and pack every little bit in.
Those places where fuel mileage is an issue, you got to get every drop you can in there. So when we get it full, we just keep filling it.
I'll stay on it until the car actually leaves, and that way I know I have every drop of fuel in I can pack in it.
We just keep hitting it and hitting it and hitting it until the car pulls out. So, you know, it's kind of hard to believe that a race could come down to a cup of fuel, but it certainly can.
When everything's over, Robin will give me kind of an eye about it, and I give him a nod, or I just look the other way and go somewhere. That's never happened. We pretty much know we got to get in the car, and we'll get it in the car.
But don't worry about the gas man living in oblivion, away from the stress.
My gun broke! My gun broke!
And the dangers. The gas man gets his share. A two-tire stop with 2 cans of fuel is the dream and nightmare.
2 tires, guys. Here we go.
For one moment, all eyes are on him to see if he can get 22 gallons of fuel in the car in half the time.
I love a 2-tire pit stop because then you focus on the gas man. You know, I mean, he means something. And
2-tire stop. If it's going to take 2 cans of fuel, you better be ready. You better be fast.
We're out of here. Let's go. Go hard. Go hard. Go as hard as you can go. Good job.
When you get down to Talladega and some of those places and you got to do a 2-tire stop and it's out of fuel, then they got to wait on you. Then you know you're under pressure.
I really love that part of it. That's when you can really get that brassy taste in your mouth. You know that adrenaline's flowing.
The guys are relying on me now instead of me relying on them, because I can generally beat them by just a second or two, but on a 2-tire, it's pretty crucial.
You got to have everything in rhythm, get it all in the car, and hopefully not slow anybody down.
When a crew chief asks you, is it full, and you can shake your head when confident, say your head's full. You don't want to tell them, I don't think I got it full.
It makes you feel good when you go, you know, it's full. You know, it's full.
The gas cans hold 11 gallons at about 7 pounds per gallon. That brings the total weight of the can up to somewhere about 80 pounds, plus or minus a few pounds. Coming up on RPM tonight, the man Mark Martin says has the potential to be a superstar. Don't forget to check out the ESPN Radio Network this weekend for ESPN's RPM Radio NASCAR Now. Mark Martin will be along with us. We'll also take your calls at 1-888-SAY-ESPN starting at 8 Eastern. Check out just how close things are in the NASCAR Busch Series. Less than 100 points separates Dale Earnhardt Jr. in first, back to defending series champ Randy LaJoie, who is in fifth. In the fourth spot, it's the surprise of the year, Matt Kenseth, who's led just 1 lap this season. Of course, it was the last one at Rockingham as he picked up his career victory #1. Kenseth will drive a Roush Racing Taurus later this month in the Winston Cup race at Talladega. On the Busch Series, though, he may receive some technical support from Roush, but he drives for Robbie Reiser.
The Busch career of Matt Kenseth includes all of 29 starts and 1 big win. Now, at the age of 26, Kenseth appears to be a contender for the championship, thanks to a racing rival who gave him his big break.
Rob and I raced in Wisconsin together. We lived about an hour apart from each other. We were never real good friends or anything like that. We were pretty fierce competitors, and it really surprised me when he called me. I thought I would be one of the last people he'd called to give the opportunity to, so it was definitely a surprise, and it's kind of funny how things work out.
Kenseth was climbing the racing ladder and competing last spring in Rougemont, North Carolina, when his phone rang. It was Reiser on the other end.
he called me on the cell phone there and asked if I could stop by the shop on the way home that night.
And it was about 4 hours later, and he was standing at the door. And
they had one race car there that wasn't wrecked, and there was nothing else in the whole shop.
Actually, I fitted him into a car that was sitting there wrecked.
And he said, this is a deal. We need to take you to Nashville next week. You need to qualify. You need to finish a race. I don't care where you finish. You just got to finish. We don't have any more race cars. So I kind of looked around there. I said, oh, okay, cool. I'll be there Thursday at Nashville.
Kenseth received a quick education, from an entry-level course at Nashville, where he finished 11th, to an advanced class at Talladega, a track he had never seen before, where amazingly he finished 7th.
Still to this day, the most fun I have in a race car is happy hour at Talladega. My first time there, I got in a draft with about 10 really good race cars. Mark Martin and Jeff Burton was in there, and Trickle and LaJoy. And
I mean, I told him to go out there and just follow in line and stay out of trouble and get used to this thing. And
there's just a whole bunch of really good race cars in there, and I was out there. I was like, wow, I'm out here and these guys at Talladega, you know. And
3 laps later, he was pulling the draft around there 4 wide down through the front stretch, you know. And
we ran 50 laps, and finally he called me and said, Matt, we're gonna run out of gas the next lap. So I came in, and
when practice was over, 4 or 5 Winston Cup drivers came over and started talking to him, and I says, and he kind of pulled me aside and says, you think I did all those things wrong? I says, no, I think you did a lot of things right, otherwise they wouldn't have been over talking to you.
Last season, Kenseth showed the potential young, thrifty race teams hope for, with 7 top 12 finishes in his final 10 races. This year, he emerged from the shadows at the Rock, when he beat Tony Stewart to the flag for his first career win.
I feel like everything was done right by both of us. His job was to try to hold me off, and my job was to try to win the race. If either one of us would have done anything different, we wouldn't have been doing our jobs. If the roles would have been reversed and he would have passed me, I definitely would have been very disappointed. We had a faster race car at the end of the race, and it just so happened that it was the last corner that we got there, you know. My first goal, you know, all winter, I said, we need to win a race. You know, that was my goal, is to win a race. Then it happened the second race, so I was like, wow, now what are we going to do?
Mark Martin is one of Kenseth's biggest supporters. As a promising young driver, Martin couldn't get the kind of help he needed to make it. Now he wants to make sure that Kenseth does. So with the help of Roush Racing, Mark has enrolled Matt in an unofficial driver development program.
He approached me last year with kind of an idea of allowing me to come and test with him a little bit when he goes and does his Winston Cup test to give me some more experience, which is awesome. And that's pretty flattering to have a guy like that really want to help you.
I don't know exactly what it is about him that, you know, makes me have such strong feelings, but he's young and he's got it, and he's going to do it, and you'll see.
Matt will also be on RPM Radio this weekend. We'll return to wrap it all up in a moment, but first, check out Thursday's Fast Facts. Today, Tony Stewart turned a lap in excess of 214 miles an hour at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, the fastest lap ever turned there. Stewart was testing at the track where the IRL races in late August, and ISM Racing says it'll add a third car to its effort next month at the Indianapolis 500. Rookie Steve Knapp has signed on to team up with veteran drivers Jeff Ward and Jim Guthrie. Last year, Knapp competed on the cool Toyota Atlantic Series and posted 5 top 5 finishes. On tap on Friday's show, the NASCAR Busch Series heads to the Bull Ring at Hickory for qualifying. We'll have a complete report, plus Formula One teams practice for the Grand Prix of Argentina. We'll see you then.